Why do you like psychedelics?
There's definitely multiple reasons and answers to that question. Everyone has their own answer to it. Some people like to just party, have fun, and then there's a spiritual side to it. For me personally, it's about connection. So if I'm doing any type of psychedelic with someone else, I am analyzing how well my thoughts and that person's thoughts connect, really. Like, if it's for a social reason, that is what I'm doing.
Like how relevant it is in that situation, how it applies to you, and why it's important or not important?
Yeah, basically. If it's with someone else, then I'm focused on the connection between me and that person that I'm tripping with. If it's by myself, then it's more to get my own thoughts in order. If I go a long time without, I can see myself becoming, I guess, going down a road that I'm not really comfortable with. And then when I actually take a step back, trip alone, think about how my life's going, reflect where I want it to go, it makes me feel more sane in that time.
Okay, that makes sense. I would kind of agree. It didn't start off that way. How did you start in the world of psychedelics?
Okay, so I started when I was 18.
18. Okay, so you're 2 years younger than I was.
And at that point, I was just looking for the next step. I'd only been smoking weed for about a year, and I felt I was ready to do the next adventure in life. I had no idea where it was going to go.
Not medicinal, not healing or spiritual.
It was
same.
Pure curiosity.
Yes, I was the same. It's like, I'm going to get fucked up. This will be fun. Mm-hmm. Little did I fucking know. Mm-hmm.
And then what spoke to me most about those experiences is the 3 people that I did it with. I did it with only those 3 people for the next year.
Oh, really? Interesting. So it was a very controlled environment for mm-hmm. that time. How many times did you partake in that year?
We were doing it at minimum a couple times a month, at maximum once a week.
Dang. Maybe. Okay.
And
so this is why you have a Kyle on, because I think I've tripped maybe a total of 20 times in my life. Something like that. So you're well beyond where I'm at.
What I noticed about that was the fact that I only would do it with those 3 people and nobody else.
Was that comfortable, or did it get bland after a while?
It was always comforting to know that these are the people I'm going into it with. These are the people that I'm coming out of it with. The connection between myself and that group of people, I feel it strengthened that bond, that like we were a group that did that together. We didn't do it without each other. It was
well, and that is a compliment to those people and you, because they included you in it as well, because it is a very private matter and how you sort life through, and you become extremely vulnerable, or at least you feel very vulnerable, and to not have accepting people in that group is almost like you can't stand it another time. And so that's cool that after the first time, not only you did it another time, but you did it many times after that. So that is really cool. I could see that being a very deep connection. Okay, so 18, you did it many times. And when did it become more than just a party drug?
I think while doing it those first few times, I knew.
Like the first time, right? Like, this is not what it seems.
Yeah. We made it a party thing.
Sure.
But the whole time I knew that it went so much deeper than that. And looking back at all the years that I had been doing it, it had went from something that was supposed to be a party thing to something that I look for people who can be on the same vibe and wavelength with me in that state of mind. I feel those people are much more closer to me personally, spiritually, those are the people that I want in my life permanently.
Yeah, I could add to that even maybe like, we were all partiers, right? We all like getting fucked up, drinking, we did other drugs, we experimented, all of that. But it seems like at the end of the party, at the end of the day, or the beginning of the morning, however it really went down, like other drugs, it kind of pushed people away, or it was a much more selfish endeavor and it didn't have the reward. Whereas anytime I tripped with other people, I felt very connected. I felt like it was very worthwhile. I felt like improved as a person. And I think maybe growing up Mormon, I had an unfound knowledge or appreciation of philosophy. Because if you think about it, religion is a philosophy on life, whether it be, credited or not. They have good things to them. And so maybe going down psychedelics, it brought me closer to people through philosophy, because I did talk a lot of philosophy when I was on it, whereas other drugs, it was just about getting fucked up.
So for me, as opposed to talking about philosophy, it was music. Music is what was the connection.
Oh,
there.
I never did that. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I noticed very quickly that music sounds unreal on these drugs.
Shit.
It's
more
just,
to learn.
Yeah, you can't really explain the amount of how much better it is.
Interesting.
And so if you find people that have your same music taste, those three people, they all had the same music taste as me. So
very cool.
We all like the same bands. And
wow,
that's another thing going into it. You just turn on the music because you want it to be more of a party. And then you notice that it's
not the same.
Yeah, not at all.
Interesting. Yeah, because when I started psychedelics, I thought it was just a visual thing. Like, this will be cool. I'm going to see stuff. Mm-hmm. And it did not start that way, until a couple hours in or whatever. And then the stuff came in, but it was almost like less profound than the thoughts and feelings that you had before that. Mm-hmm. I like how the paradigm changes and certain things become more important and certain things become less important while you're on that.
I think that's a good way to, and that's what I mean by when I do it alone, I get in a better mindset. I can separate those priorities. I understand what the argument that I was mad about the other day, it really didn't matter. Like, I shouldn't have gotten that worked up for it. At the same time, now I'm valuing what I should have been valuing in that time.
It's better to be together than correct kind of philosophy, looking back on it kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Why argue the small things when it's all small? Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add to your background on that?
I started with LSD. That was the very first psychedelic I did.
So you did LSD before mushrooms?
Yes, I did LSD.
Were you scared?
I was nervous, but I knew that was never going to change, whether it was mushrooms or LSD. It didn't matter. I was gonna be nervous doing something new.
Really? Maybe that's why I like mushrooms more, because the first time I tripped was on mushrooms.
That's very possible.
Interesting.
Then I did mushrooms later, and could kind of differentiate the two. And
there is a difference.
Oh yeah, big difference. In my personal opinion, mushrooms are more, they can get more emotional and personal, but they're also easier for me to make a party thing. I would much rather do mushrooms in the daytime in the forest with a bunch of people, and I would much rather do acid with my very closest people.
Oh, well then I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Of course.
Right on. Yeah, you were the first person to introduce me to LSD, and my buddy John back in Olympia, he introduced me to mushrooms. Oh, and you also came through with DMT as well. So you're kind of like my Sherpa in some ways to this. I called myself a psychonaut before I met you, but it had been 10 years since I had partake in a long time, and so you were very accepting and trusting, and I'm glad that we're still friends to this day.
Of course.
It was fun. That was fun tripping with you. Hopefully we can do it again, maybe get some electric power bikes and ride around Seattle or something. That was always fun.
Yeah, the first time you do it, you want to be like in a safe, comfortable place. Once you're good with that, you may even get a little bored of it. You might want to go outside.